Hirogaru Sky Precure is over. Cue sobs and applause. In any case, there's really no better time to take a look back at the season we got over the last year and see if it stands up to the reputation it's gotten. The general consensus that I'm seeing thrown around about Hirogaru Sky is that it was a season with a strong beginning, strong characters for the most part, and a strong ending, but terrible plot progression and a boring middle. So what do I think? When it comes to characters, Hirogaru Sky really knocked it out of the park. The starting team of 4 is one of the strongest core casts that we've gotten in a while. The season really did a great job making you care about each and every one of them and their stories. Sora is an incredible lead. She's energetic, athletic, and hearty, keeping the entire team glued together and doing her job well as the driving force behind them all. Her arc of discovering herself through her friends really stands out, and her fish out of water story was a breath of fresh air as far as leads go, not to mention her color scheme. She was very fun to watch, and that's probably the most important quality for a main character to have. My favorite episodes for Sora are probably episode 14, where we see her relationship with Captain Shalala for the first time, and then of course the mini-arc where she goes missing after that, episode 29, which is that one with the haunted stuffed animal, a niche fave, I know, but it's cute, and of course episode 49 with the whole Dark Cure Sky thing. Sky getting a whole actual villain form is not something anyone expected, I think, but I'm in love with the design of it, and it's yet another fresh new thing Hirogaru Sky gave us. Mashiro is great in her role as support for the rest of the team. Her dreams of figuring out what her dreams are, and then following through when she figures it out, plus her relationship with Battamonda, make her one of the most interesting mellow-type characters this franchise has, and gives her some of the strongest episodes of the season. The evolution of her friendship with Sora is an absolute joy to watch, and honestly, is there anyone who doesn't get just a little bit happy when you see them interacting on screen? It's adorable, and much needed for both of their arcs. My favorite episodes for Mashiro are episode 17, the relay race where she shows off her hard-working nature, episode 20, where she discovers the joys of art and stories, man, that one hits home, and the ever-incredible episode 41, where she and Battamonda get their conclusion. I know some people didn't like that episode very much, but I loved it. Of course, these are just my top 3 for her. She has so many good ones, man. Subasa made history as Precure's first ever boy cure on the main team. And by gosh, he really did earn that spot, huh? He's absolutely adorable, and his character as intelligent, curious, and a little self-conscious shows in every single scene he's in. His relationship with Elle and Aaha are also just really sweet, and he's probably my favorite of the main cast. I've seen some criticism of his arc, and I think it's undeserved, honestly. People complain that they didn't really go anywhere with it, but I think they did a great job. At first, his dream was to fly, but he achieved that in his second episode when he became a cure. The rest of his arc is figuring out where he wants to go and who he wants to be now that that dream has already come true, and without utilizing any of the research he'd done either. I think it was pretty well done, but it must have had at least a few minor flaws if this many people missed it. My favorite Subasa episodes are, of course, episodes 8 and 9, since it was such a great introduction, episode 11, where his and Agaha's relationship takes off, and episode 26, where he meets a little girl who he gets to info dump to about airplanes. Fantastic lineup. Aaha is our first adult cure. Well, minus Cure Earth, but I don't think she really counts. And while they didn't lean into that as much as they could have, the moments when they did were still fun to see. She's spunky and fun, and is allowed to have traits as a pink cure that leaders of the same color just can't have due to their protagonist status. Aaha is not the leader of the team, she's the heart. She's their guidance and their comfort, a role she pulls off excellently. Her relationships with the other characters also just shine so bright, especially with Subasa. Their moment together at the end of the last episode, it was the only moment in the entire season to make me cry. They do remind me a lot of sibling dynamics, and as a young adult with younger brothers, it was so heartwarming to see here. My favorite Aaha episodes are episode 18, her first transformation, episode 19, where she and Subasa really properly bond for the first time, and episode 28, which delves into her family life. Like I said, I also just love her in the final episodes. She's a great character, and I'm so happy she got this place on the team. Now for the big problem when it comes to the main characters. Princess L-chan, Cure Majesty. Now I have to say, I am not one of those people who hates magical babies in Precure. I don't know why those people hate the trope so much. It's honestly fine to me. Chiffon, Ai-chan, Ha-chan, and Hug-tan were all great in my eyes. This one, though, I didn't like her from the time I first saw the first poster. See, as a magical MacGuffin baby, she's fine, I guess. Nothing super standout, and I prefer the other magical babies to her. But the real problems started popping up when she became Majesty. See, with Ha-chan, the other magical baby who became a cure, she grew up. Elle didn't. Which means that for a mid-season cure, she got almost no character development or established personality at all. I know she likes her family, I know she's a little picky, and I know she's a baby. That's pretty much it. As Majesty, she barely speaks, and the few lines she does barely implicate her personality at all, and those that do just leave me wanting more. More they do not give. She frustrates me because she was built up so much, and somehow not at all, as if they wanted me to care about her but didn't put in the effort to make it happen. Really, if they were going to do the she's all grown up now thing that they did at the very end, they should have just done it when she first became a cure, because then at least we could get to know her as a character. Maybe delve into the emotional toll of growing up all at once like that, I don't know. She had one line at the very end using the fact that she's a baby to get out of housework. That was fun and interesting and gives me more insight into her personality. Too bad it was in the last episode. As far as mid-season cures go, she's close to the bottom of my list. I'm just not all that fond of her. Aside from main characters, we have only a few side characters, really. This season just sort of forgot to have a supporting cast. I remember Yo-Yo-san, Captain Shalala, and Berry Berry. But other than that, the king and queen, maybe? Aaha had a kid in her preschool that showed up. Mashiro had some classmates that appeared more than once, but I genuinely cannot remember their names or their faces. I suppose villains could also be considered supporting cast, but they also weren't very fleshed out, aside from maybe Battamonda and the Empress and Darkhead at the very end. But just like with Majesty, it sort of feels like too little too late. Precure often isn't the best about civvy supporting casts, but it has been done much better than this. I will say, it's one of the season's weaknesses for sure. So, about the plot. The complaints I've often heard about it is that it barely has any substance in the middle. For that I have to say, it absolutely does. I think everyone just sort of forgot about Battamonda's crimes against humanity, specifically against Captain Shalala. Sky straight up could not transform anymore. That's plot, my friends. Even more than that, even if it wasn't actively advancing the plot with the Underguru Empire, it was never idle. Each and every one of those episodes has a purpose, usually a character purpose, and they pulled that off nicely. The baseball episode isn't plot important, but it's important for Sora. The relay race episode wasn't that important, but it was important for Mashiro. The daycare episodes often weren't important, but they were important to Aaha, so on and so forth. Hirogaru Sky just chose to focus on its characters, and it's part of what makes this such a good season. Now, did they maybe lean too far into character building and focus, neglecting other areas that needed love? Absolutely. I still don't know all that much about Skyland history or where the rest of the Underguru Empire is. Seriously, where are the rest of their citizens? They're not really an empire, are they? That leads us to world building, which this season somehow both does better and worse than I thought. Skyland, as a magical otherworld, goes above and beyond by Precure standards, having its own clothing style, food, holidays, marriage customs, and culture. However, being that fleshed out, the little bits that don't make sense stand out all the more. How big is Skyland? Why does it look like there's only a few Azure guards if they're supposed to be this world's police? Is there crime that they handle? What did the king and queen actually do? What happened to Elaine's parents? Why weren't they there? I have many questions, and none of them will ever be answered. The Underguru has so many problems when it comes to world building, but I guess none of that really interferes with the story, so I'll give it a pass. I mean, I don't think anyone comes to Precure for their rich, detailed world building anyway. There is one thing that I am extremely disappointed about, though. Out of all of this season's flaws, where are the power-up forms? Listen, I know power-up forms haven't exactly been done well for the past few years, but that's no reason to just give up. Just look back on Heartcatch, or Smile, or Star Twinkle, and try again. I love power-up forms so much, and I am genuinely distraught that we don't have any of them for these guys. They deserve that much, come on. All in all, I think Hirogaru Sky was a good season. It's one I would absolutely rewatch at some point in the future. I love the characters enough to ignore its flaws, and some of those episodes make me smile when I think of them. And that's enough for me. For me personally, it lived up to the hype. If I had to give it a ranking, I'd say 7 out of 10. The points are mostly made of character moments and world-building hints. The missing 3 are for Majesty, the shafting of minor characters, and the gosh darn lack of power-up forms, respectively. I would love to hear all of your assessments in the comments, since I know the Precure fandom has many, many opinions to share. Until next time!